Good day, everyone. In the last video, I mentioned that I will demonstrate the blood moon for you in the stellarium the day when Donald Trump was born. In fact, I did it in a previous video already, but here I'm having a different approach. Yeah, the seed of Abraham and the seed of Donald Trump. In ancient times, when leaders was born, especially leaders, the wise men, the soothsayers, the astrologers, they took particular notice, what is happening in the sky. And the day when Abram was born, again the same scenario took place, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you in a while. So Donald Trump, his birth took place on a lunar eclipse in 1946, June the 14th, right at 10 p.m. he was born. And you saw that the eclipse, then. The amazing thing is that Donald Trump's parents got biblical names like Christ and Mary. That tells another story. Donald Trump is not the Antichrist. Donald Trump is the false prophet. And I'm going to elaborate a little bit more later on that. But having said that, I know more or less, when Abram was born. Now, I read the book of Jasher, and the book of Jasher had an interesting reading there, and this is what I picked up in the book of Jasher. That is in chapter 8. And it was in the night, take particularly notice what it says here. And it was in the night that Abram was born, that all the servants of Terah and all the wise men of Nimrod and his conjurers came and ate and drank in the house of Terah, and they rejoiced with him on that night. And I tell you, if I look at the stellarium, it seems like it was an all-night party, and these men only left the next night. Interesting, what I'm trying to tell you is that in the ancient times, they took notice about the signs in the heaven when a specific leader is born. For instance, Moses, Abram, Jesus, and etc. Now, they were familiar with the signs of heaven. God, Father God, is the one that mentioned this taught Adam about the signs in heaven. And this has been carried on from generation to generation. The signs of heaven is God's gospel in the sky, is Yahweh's gospel in the sky. It's not astrology. Astrology comes from the devil. The devil stole it from the Father. Before the Bible ever arrived, the signs in heaven was the gospel in the sky. The heavens declare the glory of God. Read Psalm 19. It's a beautiful psalm. Read it over and over. So what I'm teaching you now is not astrology, but it is astronomy. Yes. And of course, when these wise men and conjurers went out from the house of Terah, they lifted up their eyes towards heaven. They lifted their eyes up towards heaven. That was not the night, but it was early in the morning, and I'm going to prove that to you now in the stellarium. And they saw, and behold, one very large star came from the east. Took note, they said from the east, they were looking towards the east, and ran in the heavens and swallowed up the four stars from the four sides of heaven. And that star that swallowed, of course, it was Venus, because it was moving quite fast. And all the wise men and the kings and the conjurers, these wise men, they were in there, and they had a party with Nimrod. Nimrod was the leader at that time. And they were all astonished at the sight, and the sages understood this matter, and they knew its importance. And that is the same with Moses. They knew their leader in in Israel arises because they saw, the wise men of Pharaoh saw the sign, and they reported this to him, and that is why all that the boys had been killed. So that, yes, that is correct. The same with Jesus. When the wise men arrived from the east, again the east, they came unto Herod, and Herod wants to know, they asked Herod, where is the king that was born? Why did they say the king? Is because they saw the star, they saw, that was of course Jupiter, in conjunction with Regulus, the king star, in the sign of Leo, which represents Jesus Christ, the Lion of Judah. Yeah, and that is why the wise men come, and they told that to Herod. And of course, you know, the same thing happened there. All the babies were killed. Yeah. And listen to what they say to each other. Just listen to this. And they said to each other, this only betoken the child, that of course is Abram, that has been born in terror this night, who will grow up and be fruitful and multiply and possess all the earth, he and his children forever, and he and his seed will slay great kings. Take note of this. His seed will slay great kings, and that already happened. Part of Abraham's seed that slay great kings already, but there is one particular seed which is Jesus Christ. Yes, and Jesus, Yeshua, will destroy the false prophet and the Antichrist, and inherit their lands. Now, isn't that particular? This is the book of Joshua, which is actually the lost book in the Bible, because there were many quotations from Joshua in Deuteronomy, in the 5 books of the Bible. Yeah. And it should actually have been in the Bible. Why it is not admitted in the Bible, I do not know. But nevertheless, Jesus will answer that question. But there is enough in the Bible for our salvation, people. Okay, but listen to them. Now see what they said, you know. The seed will slay great kings, and you will be fruitful and multiply. And the Bible speaks of those blessings. That speaks of those blessings. And I'm going to show you the stellarium now. Yeah, on the morning of February 24th, that was in 1952. As I said earlier, I know more or less when Abraham was born. That was by 1948. And then I looked at the stellarium for this particular bright star that I saw, and I found it. So that happened to be on 24th of February, late the evening that Abram was born. And as I said, all the wise men came, and the kings at that time, because Terah, that was of course Abram's father, He was not into the things of God at all. Well, Abraham actually had to flee because the wise men then told Nimrod about it. And actually, Abraham grew up with Shem, actually, yes, and of course with Noah at the time. Yeah, Noah and Shem were still alive at the time, and it was Shem and Noah, not Shem, Shem and Noah that taught Abram about all these matters here. Okay, so he had his schooling not with his own father, so he had to flee because they wanted to kill him, and later, of course, God brought Abram then to the promised land, told him to leave his father and go to the promised land because God has a plan with Abram. Now, by March 2nd, this grouping wasn't as tight, and I will show it to you in a minute. But the crescent moon joined the show. History doesn't contain any records of this record of anyone having observed this remarkable grouping, but you can find it still in the Stellarium. You can go back now into, we have the technology, and you can go back in history and see actually what they saw on that. The same with the birth of Jesus, the same with the birth of Moses, and the same with the birth of Abram. And I'm going to show you that in a minute, Yeah. So that is a story, and I just want you to read the blessings of Abram, what they actually said in the book of Jasher. And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you, and I will make your name great, and so you shall be a blessing, and I will bless those who bless you, and the one who curses you, I will curse, and in all families of the earth will be blessed. Galatians 3 verse 6. Now the promise was spoken to Abram and his seed. It does not say and to seeds as referring to many, but rather to one, and to your seed, that is Christ. Here's the same one in the book of Acts. Acts 3 verse 25, 26, it is you who are the sons of the prophets and of the covenant which God made with your fathers, saying to Abram, and in your seed all families of the earth shall be blessed. For you first God raised up his servant and sent to bless you by returning every one of you from your wicked ways. Now let's go to the Stellarium right now there. Yeah, so right here you see, what do you see? This is a star. This is this is set for a date, 24th or the 2nd, right at 4 p.m. here let's turn it a little bit backwards and just to see. So you see that the wise men, they were looking into the east. Now here is the proof to you. I'll put on the ground for you here. Here is the ground. So you'll see it for yourself. That was early in the morning when they left. Abram was born in the evening, and they were partying the whole night with wine and whatever you have. And this is here, you see, there's just, and when they came, they left at just say 4:45. That's the time they left, because it was still dark, then it was winter at that time, and they were still early, then in the, no, that was not winter, now we are summer here, so it was winter in the north, and this is set by a rock. This setting is set because that's the area where Abram was born. Abram was born in Iraq, if you want to know that. He came from that area. So this was the time. So let's set this time. Now go a little bit further here. So let's go and see that. So there the star is coming. This one big bright star. And this is about the time that they left, about 5 o'clock. And when they look up, you see, they look up to the east. And this is a star that I saw. And look at that. That was, of course, Saturn was in there, Mars was in there, Venus and Jupiter. And what does this Aquarius speaks of? It speaks of God's blessings that will be poured out. And this, of course, happened in right in Aquarius. And Aquarius did for blessing, and I just read to you the blessings of Abram. Wow, that is remarkable. So Abram was born late that evening, and they all came over to party with Terah. That is, of course, Abram's father. And as I said earlier, Abram had to flee because Noah wanted to kill him. Yeah. So Nimrod was the king in that time, and you can read about Nimrod in Genesis. He was a hunter, and he was actually the son of a Nephilim, by the way. And they all had to bow down to Nimrod at that time, and this is the same thing that's going to happen again, where the Antichrist will come and people will have to bow and worship the Antichrist. And that is what we're coming now to, the seed of Abraham and the seed of Donald Trump. So let's just put this ground off here for a minute again. Yeah. And this is where the sun was. The sun here was right in Pisces. Pisces is, what is Pisces to do? You can look up what Pisces is described of. Pisces, okay, Pisces is here on top. Yeah, yes, Pisces. Pisces. Pisces, the seed of the Reunites, both houses, the remnant bride revealed. Of course, what does that signify? Pisces represent both the Jews and the Gentiles. This is what that means, and this is where the sun was, and he is supposed to bless each and every one, and we are blessed by all three groups, the Jews, Christians, and the Muslims. Yeah, but let me tell, we all found our offspring there. But of course, to whom did it go to? Of course, to Jacob. The blessing went to Jacob. And this is where we find it. Father God says, Father Abba said to Abram, your offspring will be like the sand of the sea and the stars of the sky. And you are part of that sky. And in actual fact, Jacob got the blessing there of both Isaac and Jacob. It was passed on. And it was fulfilled through them. Today, I'm telling you, the Jewish people is the most above all of the people. Judah and Dan, of course, were the biggest two groups of those parties. But if we look at from the Earth's point of view, this is one big star altogether with five planets together here. Saturn, Mars is in there, Mercury, Venus, and Jupiter. It's all clustered in one star. And guess what? Do you know when it will only take place then? This took place in 1952 minus, that is before Christ. The next time it will take place, it will be in 2040. Well, that time we will be in the millennium reign. So we have to take note when this happened, who will be born in that particular time, and the important men there will be born again. And this is when Abram was born particularly. Yeah, and if you look at where was the moon at his birth here was right in Scorpio. Yeah. Scorpio is also in the enemy's camp. Now, Ophiuchus Ophiuchus belong as a sub-star unto the, we're going to come back to this again. We discussed this portion last, the second sign. This was a sign of the dragon. Of course, it's been represented by Michael. Ophiuchus was represented Michael, wrestling with the serpent there. Then this is where the moon was particular, right in Scorpio on that evening. What does Scorpio represent here? Let's make it smaller. Let's go over to Scorpio. The seed battles the serpent. The seed battles the serpent. That is what that represents there. So the serpent is actually with Michael, and that is what that represents there. So that was always a struggle, and the seed of Jesus always had a struggle. Of course, Jesus defeated the enemy. He bruised our heel, but what is his name here? But Jesus will crush his head at all. Okay, so that is what. Now let's go over to. So that was interesting. So let's go over to 19. Let's put that 19 out there and go to 1943. 1943. 46. That is done. Let's go to June. Let's go to June, and that was around to the 14th of June. That is a time frame that what his name was born. So let's demonstrate this for you here. This was the exact time here. The ground is actually off. This is a full moon, you can see there. That is a full moon. It's full moon. Okay, this is the 14th. Let's click that off here. That was the 14th, and then the evening. And okay, let's move it over to there, the 13th, the 16th, the 17th. So there is the moon right in Ophiuchus, right on the knee there. Now, what is interesting as well, and I'm going to share that with you now, but let us just show you let's put on the ground there, ground again there. There you see, let's just take it out there, that ground back there. So here is the ground. So let's put this on here. So this is Israel time. Remember now, Donald Trump was born on the 14th of the 6th, 1946. And this was at Israel time, and it was just about the time when it was set to darkness. So there's 1900 hours. So you can see there, that's good a bit bigger there. So that the time is just set there, and there you already can see that. Just return it back again. Let's turn it back again. Let's turn it back again. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let's just turn it back again for you to demonstrate it to you. So now that's just at sunset, and there, of course, that's when the blood moon began. And there you can see the blood moon enter, and it lasted for 23. It was quite long, quite longish. It's a lunar eclipse, and there it's coming out. Just about when then it came out right there, and that was the lunar eclipse that Donald Trump was born under. And of course that was in the hospital, in New York hospital, in I can't get to the name now, but that was the time of Donald Trump's birth. So what is the importance thereof? And let me show you something else. And the rabbis are fully aware of this. Guess what? Jupiter, the king star. Now, you see, when it comes to the enemy, Donald Trump does not serve God. He serves Satan. Donald Trump is the false prophet, the Jewish Messiah. He is the false Elijah, and that's what it is. And it is right here, and that represents the signs in the heaven also take the opposite side of the enemy. That's right. Yeah, right here, and Jupiter was in Virgo when he was born. Yeah, so that was the sign, and here right in the sign of the dragon. Now this is where it all play off. Even now in the the end, this coming 16th December, and now on his, let's go to 2020. Let's just type it in there. 2020, 2017. Right on his, let's go down, and for January, when was he? Right on January 21st, on his inauguration. Let's put the ground off here. Okay. Right here in our figures, yeah. Guess what? Guess what? Saturn was at the exact spot where the full moon was. Can you see what I'm saying? And the importance to that is Jupiter again. This, of course, happened 23 September. And then Jupiter, let's just go out there again. Jupiter is back in Virgo again, right at the time of his inauguration. And guess what? When the sign appeared, 23rd of September, and that is a sign to the rabbis that this is their Messiah. And the moon was right at the feet of Virgo. Jupiter. That is a fact. And no, you do not like what I'm saying, especially trans supporters. But I have to bring it to you, and that is a fact. The seed of Abram and the seed of Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not a normal person. Barack Obama is not a normal person. The Queen is not a normal person. Putin is not a normal person. The president of China is not a normal person. They're part of the New World Order. They're all working together to find common purpose, and that is to bring in the Antichrist and the false prophet. And that is true. Let's take you down to 2020, and now I sign off. That's to the 12th month. That's to the 12th month. That's to the 12th month, to the 1st, 21st. There is a sign. There is Mercury, and the sun is in Sagittarius. And as I tell you, they always take on the enemy. The enemy. Mercury is there actually to announce something, and that is, I feel the rapture will happen before the 21st. I do feel it strongly, because that sign is when Jesus, Yeshua, hands the reign over to Satan for 7 years, people. And that is the announcement, with the conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. The conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn represents Satan. Okay? Be blessed, people. Love you all.